Congratulations. How are you feeling?
Feel like I banged my shins against a metal pole for a bit. Yeah, I feel good. It's there's always something. It doesn't matter how long a fight lasts. You always come out with something feeling a little bit off. So I'm gonna need a little ice later for my feet. But good to get a win against a tough young guy that really didn't have anything to lose in there.
Does it feel any sweeter with this record attached to it?
I mean, the record feels sweet and the win feels sweet. It's hard to say. If it would feel any worse. You're right. Because it feels good. It's always good to get a win, and I like having good fights. And I like showing off my skills. So anytime I can do that, I enjoy it.
You don't seem the type to really pay attention to the records or really care about them. But are you thinking about that when you're going into a fight like that?
No, not when I'm going into it. It's the biggest thing is I look at the fighters that have come and go, in the UFC and in the sport of MMA, and I'm leaving my mark. And that's cool, It's cool to have an effect in the sport. It's cool to get the appreciation of my peers. That's awesome. And the having 20 plus wins, having over 20 fights in the UFC. There aren't many people. I would like to know the average, career in the UFC. I assume that it can't be over 5. The attrition rate is very high. So if you guys in the media want to dig that one up, you can dig that up. Have some fun with the numbers. But yeah, to be associated with the likes of the legend of the sport, it's awesome.
I don't like that you gave me math homework. So it looked like you had a moment with Khabib after the fight. Can you talk to us about what was said between the two of you?
He showed his appreciation to me, and he gave me a hug. We've known each other for a while. When he first came over and he was making his debut, he came and trained at AMA for a bit. We got a couple sessions in together, and I used some of my very crummy Russian that I learned through high school to tell him that I worked in the library, and he was impressed with my accent. But yeah, so we've had conversations, stuff like that in the past, and he's an awesome dude, and I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the career that he's had, and I'm super happy that he was able to just do things on his own terms. Sometimes there is that pressure, from the outside to continue doing things or whatever, and he made that choice and he stepped away, and I talked about it in the lead up. I made the decision in 2016 to retire at UFC 200, and here the fuck I am, still banging myself up. But I was able to overcome the thing that was kicking my ass. So if I had stepped away, even having if I still beat Lime, I probably wouldn't have come back, because I'm just that type where once I decide I'm done. Yeah, it's back to the conversation about Khabib. Yeah, we're buddies. The short answer, too long, didn't read. It's he's a cool dude.
We like the long answers. It's all right. When you look at your win column, where does this one place record aside?
I mean, at the top right now, because it's the most recent. I'm not the type to dwell on the past, whether it's the negative or the positive. The 4 words that'll mess anything up, right? This too shall pass. The good times or the bad times, they're going to go away at some point. So I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna enjoy the night, hobbling around the casinos with my team. I'm gonna enjoy some time with my family when I get back, and then when my body's ready, I'm gonna get back into the gym. We're gonna gear up for another one, and this will be in the past.
How many fights do you think you want to do this year?
I like fighting a little more often than I get offered sometimes. I'm not a big fan of the long layoffs. Honestly, it usually doesn't work out for me. There have been a few that I've had in the past that were my doing, my choice. Doing therapy on shoulders and ankles and stuff like that kept me out of the gym. But I've had some of those layoffs that are 6-8 months that I wanted to fight, and I could have fought 2 times. And I don't appreciate those. So, yeah, I'd like to fight 3 times. So if I could get July, and then as long as the body's doing good, I'd like to fight again. Towards the end of the year.
Do you have a name in mind?
No, I mean, you got Lozon and Cerrone fighting again, and I don't know what their plans are. After that. I mean, they're both guys that I've shared time in the octagon with, and it's like, hey, do I got 2 against Joe? Do you go and do it again? Like, well, fuck yeah, we do it again. I love that guy. And like if we could sell it and get main event a small card or something like that, because we're 2 old guys that have been around for a while, then let's do it and let's get the main event bonus. And a guy like Cerrone, like another one that I got a ton of respect for him. And if he wants to do it, then let's do it. Other than that, really, for me, most of it is the time, right? Like the month, that's more important than the name. Because at this point, I've seen friggin' everything. I've fought former champs and guys that went on to win the title. I've fought the strikers. I've fought the grapplers. So stylistically, like there's no new style that I want to test myself against. I don't like harbor any resentment against my peers. There are guys that I probably wouldn't want to have a beer with, but then there are a ton that I would. So yeah, like I just want to fight, and that's really all that matters.
Thank you.
No problem.
Do you still remember the phrase that you work in the library in Russian?
Я работаю в библиотеку. I don't remember the end of the word library. Yeah. But я работаю в would be I work in, and then
In the library?
Yeah.
So what was his initial reaction when you
He laughed at me, and then he's like, it's not that bad. And then I said, от него отдают водкой, which means I reek of vodka. Or no, he reeks of vodka. He reeks of vodka. And yeah. So.
Are you sure he wasn't here to maybe poach you away from the UFC roster?
Who knows? My next fight will be my last one. So.
Well, like you said, you want to stay active. You want to build towards these. You want to get 2 or 3 fights, but also that UFC 300 is it's on the horizon. Say if the UFC is doing 13 or 14 pay-per-views a year, roughly, so that's at least 2 years.
Yep.
So if you're doing 3 fights, that's 6 fights.
Yeah.
Up to that point, feeling your body now, feeling how you feel, that number doesn't sound that big to me anymore.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. The thing is like there's. I'm working on it. I've been spoiled. And there's a difference between being a professional fighter and somebody that fights professionally. And I've been a professional fighter. This is how I pay my bills. So that's one of the reasons that I like to fight a few, 3 times a year. More opportunities to make a damn paycheck. But yeah, it's. I wouldn't have to, be stomping on the gas at this point, because it's not like I'm expecting, a title run. I mean, who the hell knows? If I can keep connecting on dudes, then we'll see where it takes me. Yeah, like it's 6 isn't a lot.
Right.
Like I think I could do 6, but I never knew I was going to get bit by a fucking tick either, So, that stole a lot from me. I was ranked in the top 10 in the fucking world when I got bit by a tick, and ranked as high as in the top 5 at one point. So, I had a bit of my peak, my physical peak stolen from me, and my athleticism stolen from me by a stupid little bug. So like at this point, it's all a bonus.
Yeah,
it's all a bonus. So I'm just gonna keep going.
Do you often wonder how? I'm sure right now you talk about how you want to ice up your feet, you ice up your legs. I'm sure after a victory, the pain isn't quite as bad, at least initially, until maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
But no, do you ever wonder? I guess if you would feel better if you didn't go through the whole Lyme disease? Do you think after your fights right now in this point in your career, you think you would feel less sore? You think you'd feel less? Do you think your body now, what you're feeling after fights now, is because it left you maybe not degraded? That's not the right word.
No. I
hope you understand that question.
I understand. I understand that. Is there any like lingering effects? And, and I'm banged up from that. No, I don't feel that way. I feel like I made a pretty good recovery over it. It really attacked my nervous system, and like there was a point where I'd wake up in the morning in pain, or like if I sat down on the floor to play with my kids, my legs would go numb and stupid shit like that, which it's the great imitator, and it was imitating a decade of being a professional fighter in my mind, but I'm a fighter. It hurts, right? Like, I equate, us dealing with cuts and pain. It's like a swimmer getting wet. A swimmer can't be afraid of the water. So if you want to be a fighter, you can't be afraid of the pain. You can't be afraid of being banged up for a little bit. Because when the shin guards come off and all the the etiquette of sparring gets thrown out the window because you're in a fist fight in the center of a room with the lights on you with another guy, everything hurts. Landing punches hurt sometimes, landing kicks hurts. So, I don't think the Lyme has really affected me at that point. I feel like at beginning of 2018 is when I really kind of got over the hump. So
I wondered at some point, I almost, even kind of hearing you talking, does like where you're at in this career, does this almost feel like bonus time? Like
totally. Yeah, totally. It's, I feel like it's
because like you said, some people maybe would have quit at some point. Some people maybe wouldn't have been stubborn enough to kind of push through it.
You betcha. Yeah, it definitely stubbornness. But yeah, like it's all a gift at this point. So I think there was like one benefit to it, and I said I really had to focus on my technique, and I feel like I've become a more dangerous fighter than I was, a decade ago. I feel that my striking is way better than it was. It's shown in the last 2 fights that I've been able to, connect and land these good shots. Before that, I'd clip guys and I'd knock some guys down and create the finish with my strikes, but the kind of the lights out knockouts that comes from drilling this shit over and over and over again. And the shitty part was that my weapon leading up to that point was my pace and just going balls to the wall on guys and kind of overwhelming them with my pace. And then it got to a point where I couldn't do sprints. I couldn't lift, like I walk around, about 15 pounds less than I used to, because I was forced to stay out of the weight room for a while. I had one of the easiest cuts I've ever had this week, but, so I'm not going to totally complain, but, athletically it kicked my butt, but I think technically I made up for it.
Yeah, I mean, they keep throwing, I guess, but everybody, I guess, sometimes can see like these young cats as you. They're throwing these young, hungry guys at you. You went out there and you put on a technical show, and I know you said it's the the respect that the peers give you. You know, as your fight was just finishing, we were still in here interviewing Joaquin Buckley, and he was giving you mad props about, you know, your skills. So I mean, like you said, how good does that feel that now the young studs that are coming up are giving you your praise because they're like, look at him in there. You're leading an example.
You're gonna get me emotional. You know, it's awesome, right? Like I've never been the type to really give a shit what some troll on the internet says. Yeah. You know, and I appreciate any of the positive remarks that the fans make. You know. But when I get positive remarks from my peers, you know, from guys that make the same sacrifices as me and gals that make the same sacrifices and you know, do the same things, like it's awesome. Like, yeah, it's the best. That's the absolute best, right? Like you want to be recognized by your peers. It's there's no better like trophy, right, than to have earned the respect from the people that do the same thing that you do. You know, so yeah, it means a lot to me.
I mean, speaking of trophies, I think if you could give if the Hall of Fame, I think if you could give most of the fighters a vote, I think they would vote you eventually for what you've done into that Hall of Fame. Is that something that you think, you know, fighters should have a say as for like people? I mean, if you never get a title, I'm not saying that you won't ever get a title. With your run and your experience, what you've done, I would think most people would think that's the kind of guy that I want to see in the Hall of Fame. You know, I mean.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. You know, like I don't want that kind of pressure. You know, like I'm such a big fan of the sport. I'd say yes to everybody. But yeah, it's like like I said, it's cool to have that respect and to get that appreciation and you know and like I enjoy, you know, like there's no animosity between me and any of my opponents because I'm not that, like I know what you're doing. You're doing the same shit I'm doing. You know, you're spending time away from your loved ones. You're beating the hell out of your body. You know, you're nervous walking out here because we're all fucking nervous. Like it's and you're about to get into a fist fight in a cage in front of everybody, and there's that little voice in your head that's like, oh, if I get knocked out, I might pee my pants. You know, like, you know, like people worry about that shit, and some of us are capable of just saying no, like screw you, voice in my head. And I've seen plenty of fighters along the way that weren't able to deal with that. So, yeah, like I don't know. It's you know what I want? They got those murals up, the dot murals of all the fighters around.
Yeah.
I've been told that I have one in here. I'm beginning to doubt it. If there is one, I want to know where it is.
Maybe upstairs somewhere? Maybe in the random office?
I haven't been upstairs too much, so maybe it is upstairs.
Well, you've been here so long, they should give you the keys to the place. You should just be able to walk through and see whatever you want. But it's inspirational seeing you. I know we say that every time, but every time we see you come out and do this, it's like watching. It's just very inspirational.
Thank you.
It's awesome. I know that doesn't sound much coming from a journalist.
No, it really does. Thank
but
you.
I feel like we've been watching you for a long time. So I guess looking towards the rest of 2022, I guess what are the goals? Are you trying to get another just solid fight in, 2 more fights? And then just is the goal keeping that eye on the 300 and what's after that? What's next?
The goal is to spend a little time with my family, you know, and then, yeah, like if I could get another 2 in this year and that would be great. And then, yeah, like you said, keep the eye on 300. That'll, yeah, probably be 2024. So, like you said, it's a few fights away.
Just got to stay stubborn, right?
Yeah, just got to, you know, not have anything stupid happen to me, you know, knock on wood. I've been extremely lucky, you know, throughout the years. Like, you know, I was born to get punched in the head. Because like at this point, it's I haven't had any of the devastating injuries that some of my peers have had. So, you know, I've got those definitely nagging things and dealt with some other bullshit. But yeah, I've been able to keep it together, and my plan is to keep it together and fight it out. And you know, in the next couple weeks, my focus is going to you know shift. I've got a cookbook coming out pretty excited
Really?
about it. Yes.
We'll specialize in what sort of cuisine?
It's wild game recipes. It's not like an encyclopedia, but it's kind of coffee table cookbook, right?
Yep.
Like, but kind of tell the journey, because food is a huge part of my life. Not only just cooking it and sharing it with people, which is probably my favorite thing to do. But I really feel like it was one of the major things that helped me get over Lyme disease. So just really cleaning it up and eating from whole foods, and there's nothing cleaner than like wild game, right? Like, so you know what's in it, especially when you have that hand in the process. So
What's your go-to dish?
my go-to dish, well, lately they're big on like venison stew and like venison barley soup. Those are two of the big ones that I make a lot. I do make a birria recipe, and I've made it, birria tacos,
Nice.
queso de birria tacos with black bear, which is.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so
Love it.
thefighterscookbook.com. Check it out.
That's awesome. Well, congrats on the victory. It's always a pleasure, and we'll look forward to the book release here
Sure.
soon.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys.